Hey everyone, Egman here with an on-the-road video. So this is literally me on the road to Dallas right now. There's going to be like no editing for this. I'm probably just going to upload this during like a lunch break and like use like McDonald's Wi-Fi to do it or something like that. But yeah, this is, I want to do like a little video kind of podcast, broadcast, I don't know what to say. I didn't want to do it live just because you can't, I didn't want to like have to read comments when driving. I think that's a little dangerous. If I had more than just myself in the car, I'd do that, but since it's just me, I just want to do kind of just a stream of consciousness almost, and it works really well because I'm usually really bad at looking at the camera anyways, and so if I have to focus on the road, I have an excuse for not doing that. So yeah, and I asked for a couple questions, and this is also because I hit 1.5k subscribers, which is a really big mile mark. That was like, what, 500 subscribers in like 2 months, because I hit it in February, so that's huge. I can't imagine like saying that, you know, a year ago, saying, oh, you'd be at this many subscribers, and it's just really huge. And the last event I went to was in, what was it, Nationals, all the way back in November, and I think I was just a little bit over 500 at the time, so almost like 1,000 subscribers since my last event. It's just huge. Last time I was in Texas, I met a lot of great guys, and I hope to see them all again. And yeah, let's talk. I guess let's talk about me. That was kind of the questions people asked, and I feel like I've said a couple times in a bunch of different places how I started with the card game and you know, my affiliation with eggs and stuff. So yeah, this is not scripted in any way. This might be rambly, probably is already rambly, but yeah, let's get into it. So first, I guess a little tidbit. One, I'm Canadian. I don't know how many people actually know that. I live in Kansas, but I'm actually a citizen of Canada. I've been here since 2000 and what? Yeah, just 2000. So I've been here for almost 19 years, almost 20. So I'm pretty much Kansan American, but I'm not an actual citizen, so I can't vote. No real reason or no stopping me from becoming a citizen. I just haven't done it, to be honest. But so that's a little fact about me. And yeah, and so growing up, so I don't know. So I moved here when I was 6 years old, and something that I used to kind of get with the kids of the neighborhood when I first moved in here. Yu-Gi-Oh was really big when I was moving. Pokemon was like the hit new thing. I remember getting a lot of Pokemon cards and not knowing how to use it. I swear to God that I had that, you know, that really rare Charizard I ended up pulling. I remember seeing it and feeling it in my hands. I have no doubt I traded it for like a nickel for someone, but yeah, that was so that was kind of where it started. And I think if Pokemon didn't exist in the capacity that it did, I probably wouldn't be into card games. I think that was kind of like my gateway drug into it, and that was especially so because I didn't have when growing up, I wouldn't say like I was poor, but we didn't have like a lot of money. I didn't have a Game Boy, so I couldn't play any of the Pokemon games. I had a Nintendo 64, and I could rent Pokemon Stadium at times, so that was like the height of me being able to play Pokemon and stuff like that. But yeah, so the card game was something that we could do, and I remember my dad would get me like these binder pages, and I'd be able to fill my my binders with Pokemon cards. And I remember having like cereal stuff, like the cereal game or cereal market decide, oh, you know, get these cards, and they weren't playable, of course, but they were kind of like, oh, it's a card with Pokemon on it, kids are going to be excited for it, and of course I was. So there was that, and then when I made to Kansas in America, Yu-Gi-Oh was the first big thing that I kind of noticed was going on, and so that was something I remember specifically. I remember when I moved, they were just doing that McDonald's promo where if you got a child's Happy Meal, you're able to get Yu-Gi-Oh cards with it, which is like such a weird concept to me now, especially like, of course, like the demographic is for, you know, kids, but I don't remember how good the cards were. I don't think they were super great, but I remember Millennium Shield, Millennium Shield, I think is what it's called. It was like its first print was in this McDonald's promo, and so I can't imagine like today, and I think they've done this with Pokemon cards with like Burger King before too, but like, can can you imagine like having to? We do a lot of stuff for Dragon Ball cards and like go to movies and stuff. And I'd say like going to a movie that supports the game, like like the lore for the game is a pretty good reason to go. But like imagine having to go to like Wendy's and having to be like, oh yeah, can I also get like a kid's meal? And like I don't know, like I can't imagine like having to like say, oh, can I maybe get like another pack of cards, or do you have this one specifically in the kiddie handouts or whatever? But that just seems really funny to me. But anyways, that's kind of how I got started. I remember I got like like my brother got the Kaiba one, and I got the Yugi. I don't remember which one got which. I thought both were really cool. But yeah, I played a lot of that growing up, and it was really my first card game that I played and went to events to. I remember going to like a card shop and not knowing the ban list, how that worked or anything like that, and just showing up and playing against some guy, and you're just saying like, oh, hey, you can't use pot of greed, it's banned. I'm like, what? But I don't like it doesn't say so in the card. Like, where are these resources and that kind of thing. But yeah, it was my first card game. I got kind of what also really got me into it were the Elemental Heroes from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. Those were really cool. I thought those cards were really awesome. I remember just carrying around like I thought like the cards that make the archetype, like Clayman, Avion, like all the art I thought was really cool and really kind of dramatic and stuff. So I thought those were really cool, and I tried to make Elemental Hero decks, and the spoilers, they didn't work. And yeah, and I remember. Yeah, and so there's like that, and I remember I got my cards stolen too at a pre-release event, which is shocker. I guess I lose cards. I have a history of losing, getting my cards stolen too. So I guess that set the precedent for that. But yeah, I played that game a lot. I didn't put a lot of money in it. I couldn't really afford to do that. Just the packs every once in a while, and then also there was what else was there? And then I got, my favorite archetype that I ever did was Exodia. It was never really good, but I was able to get like some high local placings at times. But I thought the idea was cool. The idea just kind of like a control lock kind of build. It kind of depended on format, because like there are some formats where like hand destruction was a really big thing, and so like Exodia doesn't make sense for that. But that was really cool, and that really got into it. And then I also, that's how I met my friend Abe, who I still share cards with today. But we also started the Naruto card game, and he, looking back on it, like how he got me into it for Naruto is pretty like eerily similar about how he did it like years later with Dragon Ball. He's just like, hey, there's a new card game called Naruto, and I was watching the anime at the time, so I kind of knew the lore and stuff, and it's like, it's really cool, we should come on Saturday, play it. And so I'm like, I don't know, I don't really want to invest in another card game, but I show up like an idiot and then just be hooked immediately. So yeah, it's and that was really fun. I can't for the life of me 100% remember how it plays. I kind of remember it having about, I would say, based on my memory, that Dragon Ball Super has already kind of on a like event level been a little bit bigger. I can't really remember. The internet was not as easy to get into as it is today, but it's still fairly easy. But yeah, I don't remember 100%. I remember I stopped playing that game towards the end of Shippuden, towards maybe like the middle of it. I just remember cards kind of getting like insane, and like when they started having like their extra deck, their what was it, like a squad deck? I don't remember. Platoon? No. I don't remember the name of it, but whenever that started happening, I kind of was on my way out. But it was a really fun card game. It really just kind of let me be creative with stuff, and I liked the mechanics. It was unlike any others. I hadn't really played a resource generated game before, and I guess like for context, you can only deploy one ninja a turn, and it has to be equal or less than your turn count. So it's kind of like Hearthstone. You have like what turn it is decides what cards you can play, and then you can kind of have like combo phase stuff. but the combo phase is like everyone kind of has Shugesh-like things. It's really interesting, but I don't think I could go back to that game. I think it was really enriching and kind of taught me about it, but I think towards the end it kind of fell apart, and I think that's kind of past for me. So I'll be interested to see this new Naruto card game that they've got, but there's that. And then toward probably about the same time, it was about when I was in high school, 9th or 10th grade. Is when Super Smash Bros. Brawl came out, which was like a really important game for me personally to come out. There was, so I would say I play probably video games a lot, and I don't know. So I'm stuck in Kansas, where competition, where for really a lot of these things is pretty low and spread out. And I wouldn't say that we don't have a lack of talent, but like since the population density is smaller, the density of people who want to play these games are pretty low. So, but I would say that I was above average. I wouldn't say, you know, going into these like elite tournaments scenes, I wouldn't be fantastic in any way, but I'd say I'd have enough fun, skill, and determination to get into these events and do well, and you know, be able to train and potentially do well, I guess. But yeah, that was Brawl was the first Smash Brothers games I decided to put a lot of effort into. If anyone played Melee, you'd be probably all groan about how, you know, Melee is better, and I eventually go back to Melee, and I'd say I can't play Brawl anymore too, kind of like Naruto. Like, it was a really good gateway and taught me a lot of kind of mechanics, and to be honest, it taught me how to play a game slower and do like a lot of non-combo things, like in a lot of the more later games in the Smash Bros. Universe, and also Project M, which I got into a lot. There was it's a lot more combo and rush based, but the fundamentals of learning how to play defensively and kind of space out your opponent I think it's a really important tool that I learned from playing Brawl for all those years, and I could kind of translate into other games. So, but yeah, that was something I was really into. I traveled to events. I played Yoshi in that game, so going back real quick, and I think a lot of this is kind of how my hipster mentality kind of came around. When I used to play like Yu-Gi-Oh! and Naruto, I couldn't really put a lot of money into these games, and I didn't want to, and because of that, I was kind of limited on what I could play. Right, I couldn't play the best decks all the time, because, you know, they'd have a lot of expensive cards in it, and so that's kind of what helped me, you know, make my anti-meta kind of mindset of just being like, oh, you know, a lot of people can, and this could be a wrong mindset, but this is kind of how I just talk about it, but anyone can be the best with the best deck, right? And that's maybe overgeneralization, but it takes a lot of more effort, and it can be more rewarding if you do it your own way. And now that's kind of toxic at times, and I've gotten better about it, where I'll play meta, and if I have to like it, of course, but I don't make fun of people who use meta, because it's the best, and I don't flag people for it. But yeah, I kind of grew up in this idea of, like, you know, you don't have to use the most, you know, expensive or flashy or broken moves to win if you are skilled in itself, right? And I'd say that can, you know, kind of attributed to Dragon Ball too, like. And like Super Shenron right now is probably the most powerful deck, and it takes a lot of skill, so maybe it's not the best example, but being able to play and win with, you know, arguably worse decks kind of teaches you the fundamentals of the game more, and kind of helps you develop into a better player. And that's kind of how it feels like for me. But that long tangent is to go to why I played Yoshi. So Yoshi was consistently in the bottom 10 characters for that game. But he was a bit of an oddball, because he had a lot of good matchups against some of the higher ranked characters, such as Meta Knight. He had a chain grab in Meta Knight that could lead into a guaranteed kill, and yeah, and so he had some good like anti-meta materials, but you had to work for it. That was the kind of thing. And so I played Yoshi for a really long time, and it's also how Egman came around. In Brawl, you can put tags on your characters, and they have 5 characters 5 letters you can use, and so I threw eggs a lot. That's what Yoshi's thing is, and that was something I got really good at. Yoshi being able to throw eggs as a projectile it has a really weird arc that you can control, and also you can kind of throw eggs. You can kind of ledge stall with eggs as well. So that was something that I was affiliated with, and so and that's what it is. And then I can only use 5 characters, and so it's Egman with 1 G. That's the big old thing. So that's who I am. And so, and if you see any of my older content, the image I used to use was it was like it was like a 3D render of Yoshi, and I had someone just put like Dr. Robotnik from Sonic the Hedgehog series, put in like his gear and like his coat and like the goggles, and so and that's pretty much it. It's kind of lame, and it's kind of hard to explain as well, and so a lot of other people are like, oh, you really like Sonic the Hedgehog, or the Beatles is also another thing people name drop, and I both like those things too, so sometimes I just be like, that's why. But yeah, so that's kind of how I started. My identity is kind of, I wouldn't say like a competitive player, but someone who took gaming in a lot of senses seriously, right? And so yeah, and so so Smash Brothers was the first game that I traveled across the world for, and by world I mean United States. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I met a lot of friends, and it's really what started like this kind of road trip mentality that I do, where I really do like going on these road trips, and it sucks to me like not going on a road trip for 5 months is kind of like a long period for me not to do it, but I have just a lot of memories of just being with a lot of friends, and kind of being in this rough situation, being stuck in a car, but being able to have fun and make the best of it, and just talk about how exciting these events are. And I still get like the anxiety of like, oh, I'm going to an event tomorrow, and I have to not only prove myself, but I'll meet a lot of fans now and old friends, and since I've been to Dallas before, I've met people. So yeah, that's kind of where that is. And so anyways, I played Smash Brothers really competitively, and then that kind of led to another game called Project M, which I could talk forever about that game. It's probably why Brawl is my favorite game of all time, or most influential at least, just because it affected me so much. And Project M is essentially Brawl. A lot of developers, third-party developers, are just like pretty much a fan base of Melee and stuff. They decided, hey, we really liked the mechanics of Melee. What happens if we translate it into this new game? And so they pretty much were able to mod the game without having to actually. It's really clever how it works. They essentially. There's an issue with the stage loader in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and so if it lets you execute code from your SD card, and so you can execute a code which pretty much translates all the images that would be looked up on the disk onto an SD card. So you don't have to modify your disk at all. Nothing changes like that, but you're able to play this mod without having to corrupt, or it's a really ease of access, and it's really fortunate about how all that worked out. But super great game. They loved the community. It was fantastic to see. It was super fast paced. I played Luigi in that game, and I at my peaks, I'd say I did really well. I was consistently in like the top 3 or 5 of Kansas in the game. And once again, Luigi was a bit of a lower tier character, but we just clicked whenever I played with him. He just had movement and everything that really clicked with my playstyle, and I just really liked him. And so so I did really well with him. I went to events. I think one of my highest places, I got 33rd at an event at something called CEO Orlando, which is this big event, and I really wanted to get top 32. I was so close. We were doing pools of where it was bracket pools, which means it's the best 2 out of or what is it? It's a double elimination bracket, and that small one that goes into the main bracket. And so I was on I went to the winners finals on that side, and I lost to the guy his name's Esam, who's still a super good player, and he plays the most current game. And then I went to losers finals, and I played against the guy that I'd beaten on the winner's side bracket. So, I can beat this guy again. And I don't know if I psyched myself out or what happened, but I just couldn't do it, and it was super upsetting for me. But yeah, it was a good event. And I have a lot of stories with this game. I traveled with a lot. I've traveled to Texas for it before too. So. I went to, I think the farthest I went to California for an event as well, and I love that game, super competitive, and I wish I could if I had time to just sit down and practice that game, I would do that 100 times, and just get the best that I could at it, and it's not, I don't think it's going to happen anymore. I think that time has passed, which is fine, but I just have a lot of memories, and I love playing that game. And partially because the Project M team kind of got a cease and desist from Nintendo, but even then, the game's great, and people still play it, and I play it when I can, and just I can't imagine the amount of hours I put in that game. It's been a lot. Think of just like Super Smash Bros. Brawl in general, and then travel time, and it's been a big part of my life. So that was that. I did that through college. In like 2012 or so, I went and I played Yu-Gi-Oh for like a year. I think there was just like I think it was Abe again, and he's like, hey, I want to play Yu-Gi-Oh again. And so I remember I studied the game for like intensively for a couple months. I couldn't afford I couldn't afford the really expensive cards, and maybe it wasn't 2012, but it was a really infamous format where these things called dragon rulers were everywhere, and also spell books, and which are just they were pretty degenerate strategies at the time. A lot of them were able to get a lot of value, and were really good at closing out the game. And so, but I played like an anti-meta gadgets. If you know what that is, props to you. The idea of the deck is to just grind out your opponent, take a lot of 2-for-1s or 1-for-2s, or just outvalue them over a course of the game and kind of disrupt what they're doing, and then you win, right? And that was the idea. And I kid you not, I also got 33rd in that tournament, and I was like, dang it. It was, and the winner was able to go to nationals, and that was, I put a lot of time and effort into it, and I really thought I could do it, and I felt bad that it just came down to bad tiebreakers, but and I was kind of told like, oh, someone might have already won, so it might transfer up to you, and I never heard back, but and I kind of stopped playing the game after that, especially when it comes to Kansas. Normally the idea is like there's an event like once a year, maybe twice, that's big enough, and maybe it's changed over the last couple of years, but when I played, it was really just this big event, and then that's it, pretty much. So you can't, unless you travel to other places, which I wasn't doing for Yu-Gi-Oh at that time, and that was that. So and so most of my stuff went to Smash Brothers, and then towards the end of my college experience, I wasn't able to really travel as much as I wanted to, and additionally I wasn't able to really practice. I didn't have, the big thing is I really didn't have people to practice with Smash Brothers, and that's a really huge thing for a game like that, where it's competitive and where you need to be able to test yourself and keep your skills honed. Not being able to do that, and the internet where I lived was just terrible. I couldn't do net play. There's ways to play these games online, especially Project M, but I wasn't able to do it, and I saw myself getting worse at the game, and I couldn't really do anything about it, which was really unfortunate to me. Like I kept practicing, but I couldn't play with people, and that's kind of turned me off from doing it. So something that I jumped into pretty quickly was Hearthstone instead. That game is very, very fun in a lot of ways. I don't really play it right now, and partially because for whatever reason my computer and phone don't really like playing the game, but it was a lot of fun. It was kind of like a fusion of like video games and card games for me. It would pretty much, right? Because and also the big kicker for me is that, you know, I can put it on my laptop, and so as a computer engineer in college, I just take my laptop to all my classes, and then I just play Hearthstone all day. So, and no joke, that's what I did, and no joke, you know, 3.6 GPA, did it, done. I had to just like rush it. You know, when I was at home, I do like twice the amount of work that I probably would have to do in lecture. But yeah, that was a lot of that was a really fun game for me. I kind of was able to learn mechanics. It was a little bit too much RNG for long sustain, and I think a lot of people would agree with that. But the game was great. The community when I first joined was amazing. I've kind of stepped away, and kind of seeing the changes of what Blizzard's been going through the last couple of months is a little discouraging for me, and it kind of makes me not want to invest in it right now. But yeah, at this time, Hearthstone had a lot of fun. I went to a couple games and events in the area. My eventual roommate Sam was the kind of like the innkeeper for the area, kind of like the program coordinator through Blizzard. And we had like collegiate events, which were a lot of fun, and we were able to do that kind of things, and just make events and have things for people to play in. I would say that I was more of a coordinator or assistant coordinator for those events than a competitor for any of them. I tried for a while, and I also tried for the majority of 2017. Yeah, for 2017. And if you look at my like the deep dark parts of my YouTube, you'll see like a bunch of just like raw live streams, which are just didn't get a lot of views, and I don't blame anyone, because I'm not super dynamic when I play card games. I'm usually in my head a lot of the time. But yeah, it was I did those. I kind of committed to myself, like, okay, and like I want to be into this game. I want to stream, and I've kind of picked up and dropped a couple things in the past where I really wanted to commit. Like I did speedrunning for a little bit when that was kind of the fad, and speedrunning's still awesome, but there was kind of like a heyday in like 2013, 14 where it was a really big deal. And so, but I kind of stopped doing that, and if I kind of wanted to commit to myself, like, you know, if you're putting time and money in this game, you have to set aside time. And so I did a two hour, 2 times a week stream schedule to get to, which, you know, quick math, 52 weeks. I wanted to get 100 streams in for the entire year, and I did it. And it was a lot of work, more than you'd think, right? But just being able to have to set aside, okay, Tuesday, Thursday, from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., I'm going to be at home, I'm going to be in a camera, and I'm going to be playing a card game for 2 hours. Like, that was, it was a really big commitment, but I did it, and it really taught me like a lot of stuff that I would use for kind of modern day video editing. And I don't do Twitch streams for Dragon Ball as much, and that's kind of because my schedule doesn't really, I'm not as flexible as I used to be with that. But yeah, that really taught me like a kind of a couple tips of the trade and that kind of thing. And yeah, and so it's a good card game. It kind of taught me community stuff as well, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. I stopped doing that pretty quickly after 2018 came around. I worked really hard for a year, and I was able to get affiliate status, which was cool. I still haven't gotten my first paycheck from Twitch, like a year and a half later almost, just because I haven't hit $100 on there. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I met a lot of cool people, and I really did try to be competitive that game. I believe I hit Legend 10 months out of 12, and the first time ever as well that year. So that was a really good track record, and it was before they made it easier. They've made it easier over time. I think I did the second round of making it easier instead of the third round, which we're in right now. But yeah, it was really fun, and yeah, I just really have a lot of fond memories with that game. I would say more with the community of people that I played with that game with. The game itself was, I'd say, above average. The fact that it was, you know, really good looking, the animations were cool, it was really portable. I think that's what really made the game easy and got a lot of people into it. But the community that was in Kansas City was really cool, and they're still there. and I talked to Sam. We're still in the same apartment complex. We just don't live together anymore. And it was really fun. I've always thought about going back. And maybe in the next month or so you might find me playing that. Just because we don't have like a lot of content coming out in the next month of Dragon Ball. We've got the expansion set, which adds a total of 4 new cards into the game, but nothing really big until June, July, right? So, but yeah, it's a lot of memories for that game as well, and stuff like that. And I played like a lot of Blizzard games. Blizzard really had like a golden age of like from like 2015 and so even to like 2018, where they just had a lot of good content. They had a lot of good community relations and that kind of stuff. And it's kind of dwindled down by the end of last year. So, but yeah, and that's pretty much where I was at. Also, and then in 2018, for like 3 months before, and it was before I played. Before I started to play it was actually when I started playing Dragon Ball. I started a Let's Play channel with one of my friends, Grant, and also with eventually Peter, who'd be editing, and then he'd help me out. And he's the guy who did the Heroes content with me. But yeah, we just wanted to make a Let's Play. We kind of talked about it for a while. It kind of was one of those things where for a really long time we were like, oh, we need to what is it? We've kicked around the idea. Oh, we're funny, right? We're entertaining guys. We can do this. Like anyone can do it. And so we ended up doing it. I probably took it a little bit too seriously, like I do with most things. But there was it was called WinScreen. And I still put the link to it. And we just had a bunch of the main project that I was really passionate about, and Grant kind of was like okay, and then kind of towards the end was a kind of catch them all kind of game. And I thought it'd just be a really long series where in each mainline game of Pokemon we just get we complete the Pokédex for each one. And so we did that for Generation 1. It took us like 50 episodes, and we would release an episode every day of the week, and then weekends we'd have off. And they'd be about 20 minutes, and so that was a lot of work to record, and then to edit, and then split up and do that. And so, but that was a lot of fun, and once again taught me a lot of stuff that I ended up using for Dragon Ball. And we also did this for with Peter, our series. So what is it? We call the series "Gonna Fill Our Decks," and also I'm gonna tell myself go watch any of those episodes. We for Generation 1 and Generation 2, we commissioned a guy to make an intro for it, and even though all I did was pay for it, I was really proud about what the intro was, and that we were able to do that. So go do that. I thought they were hilarious and fun. So but anyways, so we had that, and then we also had with Peter, we'd had Gonna Fill My Shreks, which was a more popular spin-off, to be honest, of where the idea was we would play every released DreamWorks game ever. So any games that were related to like Shrek, Over the Hedge, that kind of things, we'd play all those games. And so that was a really fun series. Peter has interesting ideas at times, and but they usually pan out really well, or at least better than I thought they would. And I'd say that was a lot of fun, just being able to make. They were just like games that no one really thought about or had like bizarre memories of being a 7-year-old, and their parents got them the game because they thought they'd like it, and so they'd have to play it. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. The Over the Hedge series was super fun. That was one of my favorites. And we also did one off of Shark Tale. So both of those are really cool. And those are a lot of fun series to do. So, and I think and then also the Detective Pikachu series, which was horrendous. We did. We decided, Detective Pikachu is really popular. We're just finishing our Catch Them All for Generation 1. We want some kind of bridge before Generation 2. This will kind of be in the same theory, but a different gameplay. And that game was a struggle. It was a fun game to play, and I'm happy I played it. But oh my gosh, that took forever. I think it took like 30 episodes to beat the game. So, and it just really dragged on at times, and sometimes the puzzles weren't really good. But it's a big memory of mine. And now that the Detective Pikachu movie's coming out this year, I can have some context and I can know like the deep lore for the game. So if you want to catch up on that, go check out WinScreen. I'm plugging myself still, even though like I have like 60 subscribers on that channel, and not like a lot of views. I think the first one only got a lot of views because it was like we released the video like the day of and like whatever. But really fun project, and I'm once again happy I did that. So, but by summer of 2018, I started getting into. I'll scooch back a bit. Sorry. In January of 2018, my old friend Abe came a knocking, and he's like, "Hey, there's this new Dragon Ball card game. It's by the same people who made Naruto that we played together. I've been having fun and watching people make content for it. We should get into it." And I'm like, "No, I don't have time for that. I'm making a new channel." And of course, I just I look at the cards and I'm like, "Oh, this is really cool. Never mind." And so it was when the expansion set came out with the Math Saiyan, like the Overwhelm stuff was coming out, and so we got that. I remember I was in Wichita for a Hearthstone thing. February of 2018, I was busy. I was still doing Hearthstone stuff. I was still doing WinScreen stuff, and I was trying to like looking at Dragon Ball. Like, man, I really did not have time for that. But what is it? So yeah, I remember looking. The places for product in Kansas are few and far between, and I was in Wichita, which is about 2.5 hours, and ironically, I think I'm just about to pass that right now. I'm really close to Wichita right now, and so on the website there is a Target that had the expansion sets, and so I remember going there and they had like 4 of the villains expansions, so I just bought all 4, got play sets of everything for me and my friend, and I just remember, and it was like a bargain because they were only selling it for like $15 or so, and that was a really good find. But that really got me into it. Also, the second box the first box I opened was set 2, and I opened up the secret rare Vegito, like most people get into the game, right? The first box that you buy, it has to have like a secret rare or something really good in it if you're just getting into the game. But and that's how they get you hooked. They know who you are, and they hook you really quick. But and so I was immediately like, oh, okay, I really like the red Vegito leader, and so that was really my first deck archetype. I thought it was really cool. I really liked the idea of having cards that have different color. It was before set 3, and so Vegito was an okay leader, even though he didn't really generate value on the front side. Not like a lot of modern leaders now, but I thought it was really cool, and that's kind of how I started. And the deck was pretty cheap once you got your sensu beans and your objections from set 1. But yeah, and so that's pretty much how I started playing the game. And so I remember someone asking one of the questions people ask, like, oh, how do you get into Dragon Ball? So I guess it's a bad segue, but here we go into me talking about Dragon Ball. So it's been a really fun ride for this game. I hope this game lasts for a while. None of the games that I played actively did I have to quit because they died. Usually I kind of left them. Naruto may be the exception. That was kind of on its way out. I think this game's really cool. I think what really happened was they were just trying to make like a promotional card game for this anime, and then it just kind of exploded into like an amount of hype and monetization for them that they could never imagine. And so it really feels good that it really feels like they're putting the support and love for this game to develop into like a long-standing series, and I really do appreciate that. So so I started off with I started with with that Vegito, and then I didn't go to a lot of events. So I had like 1 locals, and that was okay. But then I went to when set 3 came out. There was like that couple of weeks where Mecha Frieza was the big thing, and luckily we had like enough people at my locals that were like, man, this is a bad idea, that we prematurely, cut Mecha Frieza out. And so we went, we didn't use him, and so that really helped with creativity and stuff. But mostly, a lot of people were just using what was it, Ginyu Veggies. That was probably the first meta deck that I really was comfortable with seeing a lot of, and I didn't really ever play the deck, mostly because the main core for that deck was really expensive at the time. Like the Kabbas, right now I think prices for the game are lower than they were a year ago, but like the Dash Pack Kabba you had to have 4 of, and then you had to have 4 of the super rare Kale and 4 of the super rare Khalifa, and then I think those are the most expensive cards. But that was probably like $100 right there for all those cards, and then from there, you'd have like your Shugeshas, and then you have like your Goku Blacks, and what else would you have? Just that kind of thing. And so that was the deck to beat at the time. And also your Explosive Spirit Gokus, those were really important. And I remember that when I got like 2 or 3 boxes of set 3, and I got 6 Explosive Spirits and Gokus, which was a really good haul for me and Abe. And so at the time, I'd say the deck that I used the most was the deck that I started playing with and I felt really good with, and it felt good, was the baby, or like the ape Goku. I thought he was really good. And also, this was a time where the apes, the great ape, the archetypes also came out too. So with when I got unfortunate with my dash packs, with I think I only opened like 1 Kava, and then I opened like a bunch of Pans and Piccolos. But I also opened 4 of the Prince Vegeta, or which one was the promo? One of them, okay, I can't remember. Bardock's dash pack promo, and Vegeta was the tournament pack promo. I could get reversed, but it was something. Yeah. Bardock is the dash pack. No. Vegeta's the dash pack promo, because Bardock could be foil or not foil. Anyways, and so I remember I got pretty lucky with dash packs getting all those Vegetas, and then I think I was able to get enough Bardocks after a week or 2. But so I made a Kid Goku. Kid Goku was my favorite, and most of it was because of the Shugesh engine, and so. I made 3, and being able to generate value with the Bomas on your Awakened side, and then also the Untapped 2. The Untapped 2 was something I thought was really powerful for the deck, and I think helped it out a lot. But and so that was something that I feel like I was a little bit ahead of the curve, and it probably was because I didn't have as much experience with draw 2 leaders, and at the time I felt like a lot of people were like, yeah, Untapped 2 is okay, but you really lose out on the value of drawing 2 cards. But now I almost feel like it's the reverse. Like, yeah, enough stuff in this game generates value already that being able to extend your combos and plays by untapping 2 energy is the most important thing. So. But anyways, so Kid Goku was really the first leader I really thought was great. I still go back to him every once in a while, trying to figure out what's good with him, if I can make him work, and especially since we get more Bulmas and stuff. But he'll always be near and dear. So I'd never made him with veggies. He could always be a veggie leader as well. But I'd say like the decks that I made that worked a lot were apes, and then also with the idea of it was really easy to just like get out King Vegeta for 3, and then like untap 2 and evolve into the King Vegeta. That would be really helpful for extending plays and stuff like that. But yeah, I felt like those decks were really, really good. And what else was there? There was also I also made like a GT variant where you can, and it's pretty much what Broly GT is right now. You just but you also didn't have like the super rare. You just go into like the other, like the dual attack triple strike guy. It's the super rare one. So that was the idea for that one. Like a Preface of Recovery. Son Goku was a card that came out as dash pack, so you could just Shugesh that out to untap 2 energy for free, and that felt really good and broken until like, and it was really like. It's why Cronoa had to come out. Like, Shugesh is just, it's still broken. I still wish Shugesh just doesn't exist, because you don't have to account for it anymore. But yeah, so that's really what got me into the game. And so I didn't see, and it was about that time where I noticed that, you know, oh, there's not a lot of people generating resources or like YouTube videos for this kind of stuff. And especially, I don't see anyone else running with this Kid Goku leader. I think he's really good, and I don't see people playing with him. And so, and that's pretty much how I made my first video. Was I think it is. I hope it's not. It's the most memorable video if it's not the first one. But it was with this Kid Goku. I also got the foil version, which I was ecstatic about. But yeah, that's what really kind of helped start this channel. Like, not a lot of people are making content. No one's talking about this leader either. I think this leader is really good. I'm going to make this video about it, and it did really well. And I thought the deck was great, and it's a really near and dear part. And then it's what got me my first locals win, and then after that, a Tournament of Power came out, which is still a contender for my favorite sets of all time. It's waned a little bit, but for the time and for like the next couple years or next couple months, it was like the best set to get into, and still people want a set of it just because pretty much for seeing hit and for the secret rare, of course. But it's just a super solid deck for someone could buy a box of cards. They could find all their universe synergies and make a good starter deck with it. And I thought that was really good. And I was really excited for the Universe 7 Frieza archetype. I thought that was broken. I thought I really like control-y, like anti-meta decks. And anti-meta for the longest time, I think, in this game is to survive against aggro, right? I think aggro's been such a almost trouble for this game for a while, and so I think the idea of being able to stop aggro and just kind of survive and win and get to like a big win condition is a lot of fun. So not fun for the aggro player, and they'll just call you like making the game boring, but it's an archetype I really like. And so I made one with the Universe 7 Frieza and like the super rare 7-drop that, you know, critted life whenever they try to do anything. And that deck was really good. I made a yellow-blue variant so I could run my beans, and then also I could get like the 3-drop Gohan that would, you know, find stuff from your deck. That was really good, and just being able to generate value with that deck by discarding, you know, without having to give your opponent value is great. At the time, none of the super rares, none of the super combos would have 10k passively. They effect to give them 10k, and so they'd have just a bunch of dead combo cards in their hands if you didn't get them to, if you got the 7-drop out before they got to 4 life. So that felt really good too, and just a really fun deck. It's not like Frieza Prison, right? But it quickly got outshined though by if anyone had the secret rare, and my biggest regret in this game is not buying Victory Strike when it was like $80. It was like hovering around $100 for a bit, and I'm like, okay, once it gets down to like 90 or something, I'll buy it. And then it shot up to like 300, and it's been up there since. Like, that's like the biggest regret, and because I'd still use it today and stuff like that. It'd be a really good card to hold on to, but that's probably my one regret for not jumping onto something. But yeah, and that pretty much brings me to, I started making content for that. Pretty quickly through it, I met Young Badman and Android. Both these guys, great guys. We collab a lot, and we kind of help each other out with decks and archetypes and that kind of stuff. So that was really good, especially since, you know, once again, I'm stuck in Kansas a lot of the time, and I didn't know like the PPG squad or like Kitchen Table Meta or Super Players or any of those. I was in none of those communities, online or in person, and so it was really fun to just kind of start our own community. I know it's technically Android and he started it, but I'm claiming part ownership of that. It's just been a great place to hang out and chill and just talk to people who love the game, which has been great. And yeah, I've just been making content since. I don't think I've really ever exploded. I think it's just been a really big grind of making content and doing well with it. I have to think of what I think. So traditionally, I kind of got some archetypes I kind of got famous for. Not really famous, but what I started getting attached to were Maidens. Maidens was a really big archetype that I liked. Still like them today. I think the idea is really cool. And for all these archetypes, whenever new stuff comes out, I always drag them out, blow the dust off them, say, okay, can I play these now? Are these good cards to play? But so that was good. Let's Kill Krillin in more modern times. That's been one. I really like Roshi, like Jackie Chun. That was a big deck that I liked, and that's what I brought to Dallas last time I was here, and I did pretty okay. I was on stream, which was really cool. That was the first time on stream, was in Dallas. Our Fort Worth, as Judge Manny will keep correcting me. The event is in Fort Worth, even though it's called PPG Dallas, and that's why I'm saying I'm going to Dallas, just because I'm going to the event. But it's like saying Kansas City, Missouri. Like, you're in Kansas, but you're in Kansas City, Missouri. Like, oh, that kind of thing. So, yeah, that deck was really fun. And then I'd say like the first deck that I kind of broke out with was like the Red Hercule. I have such a funny like relationship with that leader. Like, for the first time I read it, and if you don't know what it does, he's a 5k on the front, 10k on the back, so every week he's a Red World Martial Arts Tournament leader, and then when you combo with a card during this card's battle, once per battle you get to draw a card, and I misread it that thinking it was once per turn, so I'm like, oh, you only get to like do one, but no, it's once per battle, so you can just keep comboing with stuff. And if you look at the math, like, you're not losing cards, you're just being able to get some free cycle, and that's super powerful. And he's really like a leader that I really fell in love with, and I wish I could play now, but just the threat of Janemba and that kind of stuff kind of puts him away. Janemba's a little bit more in check, so it's not as big of an issue, but you definitely deck out with Hercule if you're not careful. But he's really fun. He got me second place at a store championship. It's what got me qualified for nationals, which is cool. I got second place, only losing to the mirror, one game in the mirror match. And yeah, and I really like that deck. And I think it's also what got me my most viewed video that I can see is that the first place player for that event, and once again, this is about 50 people, but it was the starter coup, Goku, that when he attacks, you untap blue energy. Tristan from our local area, he ran that. He went 7-0 with it. It's a blue-green variant, very strong, and he was able to get first place with it, and I did a video for it, and that just took off. That got me like so many views, and that felt really good, and kind of got me like a boost before nationals and that kind of stuff. So. And then I went to nationals. I also went to back in I think August of last year. I went to a St. Louis regionals. I think it was by core, but it could be ARG. I can't remember. I think it was core. And it was what did I run? I ran like a janky Universe 7 Vegeta deck, and I don't think it was for that event, but for like the next event, they banned, they changed the interaction with him and forced ejection Matt Saiyan, which made him mad. But it was interesting. It was too anti-meta. I still did pretty good. I think I got like 40th-ish from there. I think it's actually 43rd of like 100 and something people, almost 200 people. So I still did really good with it. But it was super janky, and kind of like playing it towards the end of the day, I'm like, man, this deck really sucks. But that was really fun. It was a cool deck. I liked it a lot. And then what was it? And so going to nationals, I pretty much took Hercule, but I added the new the new Gogeta stuff. I made Gogeta Hercule, which I don't. At the time, it was moderately original. I don't think it got a lot of. It wasn't a lot of attention. I think a lot of people didn't play it because they're so afraid of Mill, and I wasn't super afraid of Mill. I'm like, oh, whatever, it's not a big deal. And also at the same time, there was only like a week for Demon Sword to be given out for tournaments for stuff, and so I know there's a big grind for people to find that. I'm like, oh, not a lot of people would be able to physically play the deck because they don't have the cards, but they definitely did, and I did pretty good until. Let's see, until about round 5 or so. I think I had like a 4-1-1 record, so I was running in round 6, and I could still make top 32 or so. I just had to play my game for the next couple, And but at that time, I just remember being so exhausted. And the only bad thing about these trips that I do is that it takes such a toll to drive and then be awake. And sometimes you drive the night before because you can't get more time off work. I'm lucky that I get Good Friday off to be able to do this, and so I can kind of afford a little bit more sleep than usual. But yeah, I just remember we drove to Ohio. Me and two other guys, one of them being Abe, and Abe drew the entire time too. So props out to him. But I just remember being exhausted. I played every round, but I played against Scott Dashley, and it was the first time I met him, and I was semi-delusional at the time, and it was the first time I played against Mill, and I just did not have the muscle memory for the Mill mechanic, and so I just kept doing it wrong. I don't remember what I did. I don't know if I just didn't mill the 2 left top or what, but he called a judge on me, which was totally like I have no like harbor bad things. Like I was playing sloppily and poorly, and it could have affected him. So I don't no hard feelings. Like I probably would have done the same thing, but I just remember that, and but it was a bit of a grind. He won game 1. Game 2, I was able to get the secret rare Gogeta L and attempt to win with that, and I wasn't able to, and he was able to mill me out. But that was a really fun game, and really was like, oh man, Hercule's not really good against Mill, and Mill's at the top tables. That's where Mill's going to be for the people who were able to get it. So yeah, it was kind of an eye opener for that archetype, and then also I think I played like another Mill, 1 or 2 more Mill players after that, and that felt bad. But I was able to get through it. I think I ended with like, I think my final record was like 5-2-1, something like that. I made top 200, and that was really the big reason I stayed in, was just so I can get the prize support for getting top 200, which was a really cool mat and like some other cards and stuff. But the biggest loss was that once again I was so delusional, and there was a lot of I have to keep going into my bag because I bought a box of set 5 to give out to people for free, and just for supporting my channel and stuff. And so I have to keep going into my bag. And somehow between the last round and getting my prizes, my deck box wasn't with me anymore, and I didn't really recognize it, I guess, until like the car ride home. But that box was gone, and it had probably $150 worth of cards, including the secret rare Gogeta, which I borrowed from a friend. Day 2, I just straight up bought it from the shop, got it back to him, and I was able to kind of recoup a bit, but that was really devastating for me. I felt super bad. I was really upset about that. And pretty much day 2, I just kind of, if you saw Egman day 2 of Nationals, I was just really mopey. I saw the game devs, and it was cool. I took a picture with them too, and stuff like that, but I just wasn't in it. I just wasn't feeling it. So that felt kind of bad. But and also like shout out to Young Badman again. He got, in my opinion, just a really bad judge call. He got called out for having different wear of sleeves on some of his cards. He made the top 32, and he pretty much was running a set 4 deck, and he just swapped a couple of cards from set 5. But he used brand new sleeves of the same kind for that, and so it was apparently noticeable enough for judges to be able to find it. And they were on kind of new cards like after image technique and that kind of stuff that would be shown to be like newer, or at least like valuable information. Like, it negates really important information. So he got disqualified, and that obviously felt really bad for him. But that was just a bad day. I remember like just walking into him, and like, hey, we haven't gotten a picture yet, do you want to just take one? He's like, yeah, sure. And so we're just kind of like, meh. We're just kind of like looking at the camera like, please let this be over. But it's really good to see him kind of jump back from that and still play the game and stuff. I was worried he'd quit, and that can only imagine how big a hurdle that could be. But he still made top 32 in my mind. I still think he deserved it. If he cheated, I'd be completely surprised. I have no doubt it was completely accidental, and this is an old rant, but that's my 2 cents. So I think Batman's fine, even though his name's literally Batman. He's a good man. So, and then so that's pretty much been it. That's kind of been like the Egman in YouTube. I took a break from Nationals just because I was once again kind of depressed about how it all ended. But starting, and there was also like no information. Like the Nationals happened, and it was kind of like a big off season, and there weren't any like cards coming up for a while, and there wasn't any reason to go into like tournaments and stuff. And so, but starting in January, I guess I don't know. You guys know the rest. During January, I just started like cranking out videos daily, and I kept that up until like earlier this month, pretty much. But it's just been a lot of growth. Getting to 1,000 was really wonderful. Thank you guys so much for the support for that. I can't imagine that it happened in like a month and a half of me just saying you're gonna do it, and I really did. So that felt really uplifting. And yeah, and here we are. This is my first big event in a while. I really wanted to go to Chicago. I really felt bad that I wasn't able to get there. And to be honest, the worst part was telling fans and people, hey, look out for me, and then being able to say, hey, you're not going to be able to find me because I'm not there. But that just felt bad, and a little bit because there are a lot of cards to get. Like the value for that event it was a free event. You just walked out with a couple $100s of cards at times. So. That kind of felt bad, but yeah, it's whatever. We're going to this event. This is going to be great. I love Texas. I'm going to be able to run into some non-Dragon Ball friends at the same time, so that's going to be cool. But yeah, so let's say like an hour into this video, let's talk about quickly what I expect from Dallas, and then we'll shut this ding-dang thing off. So going to Dallas, I think Bandai just kind of dropped some rulings like today. Not very big, but it involves Android 8. So I think they said that the ordering matters when you blow up stuff with things like Mass Saiyan. That if if Android 8 gets blown up after Goku, then you can still trigger Android 8's effect. It goes in the pending and then resolves when he's in warp or wherever he's at. But so that's a weird effect, but it also confirmed that the being able to combo with the Son Goku childhood with Android 8 on the field is the intended way that this ruling is. So that's good. I know it's kind of confusing at times, and I strictly ran into someone on tap a couple weeks ago, and he was playing Skillless Goku too, and he's like, bro, don't at me. I've played this deck since the beginning. That's not how the Android 8 mechanic and ruling works. And I'm pretty sure that's how it's worked for every Celebrations event, including the person who got second at the event. The head judge ruled it that way, and he's like, nah, that's not how it works. But now I'm happy to have some proof to show that guy if I ever see him again. Yeah, so I think, I think Skillless Goku is, it's my favorite deck from set 6, to be honest. It's a really cool archetype. I really like this archetype when it's done in other games of just like buffing cheap cards, to be honest, and once again, for someone who's anti-meta and grew up with only being able to use cheap cards at times, being able to just oh hey, now you've got like a really big beater who can be critical, or you just have a lot of hand advantage, and that just is a fun little deck. So I like that archetype. Broly is doing so I think me and a lot of other people said this, that Broly will have a strong start, but he might fizzle out towards the end as people realize how to play against it. And that's kind of ironic for not only what's happening with what I feel with the archetype, but also just how the Broly chain works in general. Like, you start off really strong with like a 6-drop 20k or 25k with double strike that can blow up stuff in the combo phase, but now people know how to play around it, and they're playing smarter around it and that kind of stuff. So I feel I think the deck is probably tier 2, but it's still super great, maybe tier 1.5, but I expect to see it wholeheartedly there. It has a lot of good things and can do some cool stuff in the meta game, so I think the deck's good. We'll talk about so Super Shenron I think is tier 1, if not tier 0. I'd say I'm more afraid of the Height of Mastery version than the Storm variant. The Storm variant can feel cheap, but I feel like it's more glass cannon. You have more counterplay with it. But with the Height of Mastery, you have to either kill them early, or they just get like 4 triple strikes, 4 35k triple strikes on you when you can untap, really? Or they tap 3 and get all that on you? Like, that feels really oppressive at times, and I can't think of a way really around it besides just not getting hit by it. But I think that has a contender, is just a contender for just a really good deck. And I hope something, I don't know, I think something should happen with Super Shenron. I've said this 100 times, and I just sorry for saying it 101st time, but I think the deck's good, and I think it's too good in the sense of it's starting to deter players from playing the game because they don't like playing against that matchup, which isn't like, I don't know, I'd like to say I have more, like, I'm not a true competitor because I have a crazy fun casual side, and I really do feel for people who aren't having fun playing against certain archetypes, and I think it's a real thing that people have to consider. And even though, like, competitively, like, oh, you know, it's in the game, so don't worry about it, you know, there are ways to play around it, it's not fun to play around it, right? Or you have to play a certain way, and people want to be able to play the game they want, right? Like, they want to be able to do that. Like in fighting games like Smash Brothers, you know, I kind of compare it to like things like Jigglypuff, where if you don't know the game, Jigglypuff can be like a slow character that, or even Ice Climbers at times. Ice Climbers might be a better thing. Like, Ice Climbers have like these infinite combos that the way you beat Ice Climbers is just don't get hit by the infinite combos, right? And like, there's ways to play around it and not play as aggressively, but you know, if you're used to playing aggressively, then not, you know, having to play in a different way than you like and than the way that you're good at just feels bad. You're not having as much fun, and you're really playing in a game with your, you know, like, you're playing your opponent's game. You're not playing your game, right? And so that's just always a thought. If it doesn't get hit, I think, okay, I'd say that since this is the biggest event for a while, there are going to be a couple events in May, but this is kind of like the last hurrah for kind of set 6 stuff before like expansion stuff and anniversary box and set 7. I think Bandai is going to look closely at the results for this, see how people are playing it, and kind of make the decision after that. I think making a decision after San Diego would be a little bit rash and a little bit hustled for getting it out for Dallas. And I really do think that Bandai looks at tournament results. I think they do that more than you think, and I think they listen to us more than we think as well. I think they're a really good company at that. They're not the best at showing it at times, but when they do show it, it's really good. Like, for example, doubling the entry prize and I think winning prize for the World Martial Arts Tournament is a huge thing. A lot of people are complaining that, oh, it's a 20 card set, and it might be 10 foil and 10 non-foil, but that's a huge deal when you're trying to collect them all and you're trying to get a 4-card play set. Not, you know, that's a rare thing to get everything you need for. So being able to give out, you know, doubling the amount of cards in circulation really helps. It's not going to help as much as people want, but it does help a lot. And I think hearing to, you know, people complain about cards, whether it be founded or not, I think they'd still do it. So that's a really good thing. And so I'd say this time next week we'd have a response from them in some way of saying, you know, it's fine, or yeah, we'll get it out and before like the next kind of like before like the summer season of events and like tournaments and stuff. I think they'll fix it. So that's it for that. Any other big things? So I think Mill is going to be still hopefully in Dallas. I don't want it to be because I don't think I'm going to have a good matchup against it as usual, but I think it will be better than Hercule with it. I think there might be some Gogeta stuff. This has been like the first big tournament since the Gogeta Heroes promo leader and the 8-drop came out, so I think some people are going to be experimenting with that. I think Gogeta has a good chance of countering Super Shenron, especially with the Veku, the 4-drop Veku that is kind of like a Borgos and Whis, and where it just, you know, if they untap, you blow up an energy. So there's that. And once again, being able to run red like that, and if there's like some deck running like a pan, like Chain Attack Zeno, I think that'd be popular too. I've experimented with those decks, and I thought they were good, but they didn't fit my play style, and I don't feel like I'd be able to play it successfully for it. I don't even know how many rounds this weekend are. 7? Let's say 7. So that'd be a bit of a hustle for me. So there's that, and then what else? And then some people ask me what I'm playing. I'm playing playing the Chile and Limo leader. I don't really want to fully expose kind of what I'm playing, but that's what I'm playing. It's definitely anti-meta, but I would say I have really high hopes with this deck. I've played, if you haven't noticed my lack of content, I really want to do well at this event, which is like the first time I've said that for a while. Usually I kind of make it a deck like the week of and kind of like that, but I think it was kind of not going to Chicago, me like just have this, you know, passion of I really want to play this game at a high level, and I missed my chance. I got to really put a lot of energy into this next time. So it's really the first time I've done that, and that's why I haven't been making as much content. I have to, you know, you don't have to really think about it, but it's like, man, you know, Egman plays Dragon Ball all the time and makes videos. What's the difference? And a lot of the time is that I have to make a choice. Is like, oh, do I play the card game or do I make a video for the card game? Rarely do I get times where I get to do both, and you know, choose both at the same time. So, and most of the time I choose to make a video because I honestly have a lot of fun doing that, and I know a lot of you guys like doing that and stuff. Yeah, it's really. I just put a lot of effort into it, and it's just been feeling really good. It just feels really consistent too, and I think it will be. It won't be janky. I think it has a good game plan, and I'm really excited to show it off and see how well it does. It's my biggest fear whenever I play anti-meta is just going X2 and drop, and that's never happened. And hopefully it doesn't happen today. I hope I didn't just jinx it, but I think it's going to do well, and I'm really just excited to play it and see how it works out. So I think that's about it. Oh, someone asked how I like my eggs. I like my eggs scrambled. Okay, that's it. Done. You got your little joke. But I think that's about it. This video, I was only hoping to talk for like 30-45 minutes, but I really started talking about myself and got really into it. So hopefully that was either interesting or you're able to get through it enough to talk about Dallas stuff. But I think that is about it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to talk about. No, I'm really hopefully, you know, happy for Dallas. If you like this, you want me to do like another one on my way home, please let me know. Once again, it's 8 hours in the car by myself, so maybe I'll do like a video of me like talking about how Dallas went and that kind of stuff. But I really am excited and looking forward to oh, Agent of Destruction Dende. That's the deck. I just remembered that one, and not because I'm thinking about playing it for teams, but yeah, I think that deck's good. I also Gogeta Ramp. I think that deck could be good too. I've seen that deck type evolve a lot through the last couple of weeks. So those are two more decks I can think of being good. I think it's time for like a Vegeta or Pan to show up. They usually like to show up, you know, like go on and off for the last couple of weeks. Of like 2 weeks where there's a good amount of Pans and Vegetas, and then there's like 2 weeks where they just didn't make it at all, and then so I'd expect to see one or two of those there, just because it's been so long. So all right, I think that's going to be it though. Thank you guys for watching this and making it this long. Hopefully this is kind of more of a podcast, to be honest. I don't know any benefit you get from seeing my face, but here it is. If you want me to shave this, let me know too, I guess. I kind of put a poll on my comments channel of what I should do. I think I'm going to shave it, but if I kind of get to where I'm sleeping tonight and I'm just like, man, I'm so tired, and I want to just have some justification of saying, oh, you know, 6 people out of 3 decide, you know, or 6 people over 3 want me to not shave, so I guess I'm listening to the people, and you know, this is my own decision, not me being lazy. So yeah, that's gonna be it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.